she sent me a nude.
Did you send her any nudes?
She started to get darker and darker.
You must have found it titillating. What's she like to live with?
For the first 6 years, she was great. She has a way of emasculating.
What things would she do to emasculate you?
When she's had a drink, she's quite, aggressive. The way she used to shout at me, the way she used to speak about me and speak to me. You imagine what she would be like behind closed doors. She'll say in public, I don't even think he can read.
That's like you being the dog.
My whole personality changed. I was just this black guy who was living off Vanessa. For me, she's a psychopath.
She won't like that.
There's a few things that I let slide. I was told twice that she'd been unfaithful to me by members of her family and her best friend.
If she sees this interview, will she come gunning for you again, do you think?
I couldn't care less.
So there's no love lost between you and Vanessa?
This kind of love rat, cheaty thing that everyone thinks that I am, I'm just so far from it.
How many women did you sleep with behind Vanessa's back?
I want to say a quick thank you to our sponsors, Gold Seal. I use their products every single day, and now I finally get to work with them. I use their products for anti-inflammatory, reduced anxiety, better sleep, and mental clarity. I'm going to put a link to their website in the description, along with a 10% discount code for you to take advantage of. Go and have a look at their website, see if there's anything in there for you. I hope you enjoy this week's episode, and good health.
Ben.
Hey. How are you, Liam?
How the devil are you?
I'm good. I'm gassed to be here, man.
I'm thrilled that you're here. I mean, back in the day when I used to go clubbing, it was your voice that I would hear.
Oh, thank you very much.
What an era, and we're never going to get that era back again. And what a tune! I mean, we're going to cover Phats Small.
Yeah,
we're going to cover a load of things. We're going to cover your recent stalker, which was been quite a serious police investigation, which I don't think you've been allowed to speak about until now. In fact, I think you're going to break your silence on that, irrespective of the police warning you not to.
Yeah.
Your relationship with Vanessa Feltz, fame, music, your life, and due to our little conversation in the green room, we'll slip a little bit of politics in there as well.
Why not?
But can we start?
Yeah.
Let's start with your stalker. Obviously, a baby reindeer has been a recent phenomenon.
I haven't been able to watch that. I know a lot about it. I've seen clips, but not been able to watch it because it was too near to the knuckle, too close to home, that whole thing.
Well, that's a very, very strong point you've just made there, because in so many words you've said, and I get it, anything that's traumatised me in the past, you steer clear from things that are going to trigger that.
Yeah.
So the fact that the Baby Reindeer documentary series, whatever it was, you found triggering, tells me all I need to know about the kind of impact it had on you. So I'm sorry to trigger you, but this is going to help people watching that have got a similar situation. And I'll probably share some of my experiences with you as we go along, because I also have had experiences with a stalker. And it's, let's hear it from your perspective. The full story.
So I get a lot of DMs, and most people who follow me on Instagram really would know that I'm probably one of the very few people or celebrities, if using that term loosely, that replies to people. Ever since I was young, I've grown up and I like people. And also, I want to be liked. I've had this thing, and this is an issue, and it's only through therapy that I've learned all that. I kind of like being liked. I'm a bit of a people pleaser. So when someone asks me something on social media or says, you look nice or whatever, no matter what, I'd always reply or say, oh, thank you and stuff like that. This girl, her name was Yelda, but she was calling herself Amel or something on social media, would get in touch every now and then and say, oh, you look nice, or, just make idle conversation and stuff like that. And then she would say, oh, what are you up to today? And I'd say, all right, I'm doing this TV show, I'm doing this, I'm doing that. And so it was like a light conversation. It was happening for about, a couple of months or whatnot. Then one night, we got into a conversation. It was longer than normal, and it was just general things, I think too much. And then she sent me a nude. And then I think the response was, oh, sorry, that wasn't for you. And then I said, oh, don't worry about it. I don't mind. Ha, ha, ha. Sort of trying to make her feel comfortable. And she said, oh, did you like it? and I didn't answer. And then she went, "Oh, that must mean you think I look terrible." And I said, No, you look fine. I was already in deep water then, I suppose, really, but I wasn't really...
Because you're with Vanessa Feltz at this time, aren't you?
Yeah, I wasn't really thinking about that. I mean, the truth is, I get hundreds of nudes. Every celebrity will tell you that people send them nude things. There's an obsession with people. I mean, people just seem to be sending, dick pics or their nude body. Like, it wasn't like that when I was growing up. It's just now, it just seems like a normal thing that everyone's doing, and they don't even care if they know you or they don't know you. They'll just do it. People are so open about it. I don't know why. Maybe that's the rise of pornography or something like that. I don't know what the reason is, but there's definitely a cultural thing that's happening where people are just fast and loose with their bodies, which used to be such a private thing. I mean, I'm waiting till I was about 18 to see my first naked lady. Do you know what I mean? So, I mean, it's just a weird thing. And then I said, no, that wasn't bad. Then she sent me another one. And then the next day it was conversations and this and that. And then she sent me another one. Then we'd have another conversation, this and that. And so it was going on like that for months. And I thought she was an okay girl. I really did. I thought she was nice and stuff like that. And then we'd start talking, and then she'd say that she'd had a hard time with men and stuff like that. But it wasn't... I didn't think about it. I might get one message every 2 days or something like that.
But you knew you'd overstepped the mark.
I knew...
The fact you was in a relationship.
I didn't really...
In hindsight.
In hindsight, well, no, I didn't really see it as overstepping the mark at the time, because I thought, I get nudes all the time and I just block them. I block them, or I just don't...
But you didn't block this one?
I didn't block this one because we had a sort of friendship.
She chipped away at you?
Yeah. It's almost like she knew... Well, she didn't know what she was doing.
Dare I say the word, she was in the grooming process?
Yeah, I think so. They know exactly what they're doing. They even know the law. They know what they can and can't do and can't say and whatever. And so she kept on sending news, but we were having conversations. She kept on saying she'd been sort of like had a hard time with men, guys, and and mainly she kept on talking about celebrity men. Oh, this guy. Oh, I'd take a picture. I might go out and see a member of I'm not going to name their names, but a rapper or something, an R&B singer or something, black men predominantly. And she'd say, "Oh, I hate that guy. He's an abuser." What? Yeah, he's an abuser. He did this. He's a bad person. He did this to me. And I'd always think, what? I think I'd put up a post. I said, "Happy birthday" to a celebrity, a famous celebrity. And she said, "Oh, why are you friends with him? He's an abuser." And that's how it started. And I kept on that. And I found it quite intriguing. So what? Because first of all, you're silly. You fall into this thing where someone's telling you something about someone that you don't know. And so you kind of want to find out.
And is this celebrity thing trying to get the common ground?
Yeah, it's just like, wow, did they do that? It's something that you know. You don't want to tell anyone else about it, but you're just finding out information, or you think you're finding out information. But this is just some random girl's point of view that, whatnot. And she said this thing about this celebrity, and I said, "Oh, no, that's terrible. I've never known him like that. I just know him personally." And then it was someone else, and then she said something about that person, someone else. And there was a bit of a pattern emerging. And it was also quite intriguing, but then apart from that, then she'd go back to like normal conversations and this and that, and it was absolutely fine. And like I say, you get nudes all the time, so it wasn't a thing. I'm not doing anything. I'm not...
Did you send her any nudes?
No, I've never. I mean, I don't come from that era of dick pics.
I won't ask for one then.
No. Yeah, no, I just don't come from that era. It doesn't, I'm sure people do, but it doesn't make sense to me. It's just not something I do, man. Wouldn't do that at all. So she was doing that. And then I was doing a gig, and she came along, and I was on stage, and I saw her in the crowd, and then when I came off stage, I wanted to go and say hello formally, and she wasn't there. She'd gone. It's quite strange, but I was busy. I was with a band at the time, and then when I got back to the hotel, I had a message from her saying I came to see her, and I said, "Yeah, I know. What happened?" She said, "Oh, it's too many people, and there was a crowd there, and I get nervous in front of people, and and men and stuff because I've been through a lot of problems and something like that. And I said, oh, that's such a shame. You'd have been fine. You'd have been absolutely fine. I'd have made sure, you know what I mean, I looked after you. But all friendship sort of stuff. And then about 4 months later, there was another gig. And she goes, oh, I'm going to come along to this gig. And I was like, yeah, all right, come along. Let me know when you're coming. I know you get worried about things. And it's no problem to go to gigs. People come and join me over the last 30 years on the road all the time. You know what I mean? In fact, it's a really social way of seeing people. I'm not around, but I'm doing a gig near you. Just come along, have a couple of drinks, we'll have a laugh. And then they go about their business. I go about, and that happens all the time. Till this day, people come and see me. So it's not, it's not nothing weird about it. So I didn't feel weird. She came down. She saw the show. She was in the VIP. Absolutely fine. Great night. Dancing. Bit too much to drink, but nothing happened, and nothing ever did. So then that was that, and then she carried on sending me loads of nudes and stuff like that. I got to the point where she was doing it and I said, oh, look, this is where the line crossed, because I said, oh, don't do it on social media because, I don't know, someone could hack my Instagram and I've got these nudes on there. And I was...
So when you said that, did you shift it from social media to personal numbers?
Yes.
WhatsApp?
Yes. That was the biggest mistake because it's now you got my number. So now you're contacting me and, getting me all, it's like becomes private, becomes more personal. And I think in her mind, she had kind of built up this kind of relationship. She felt she was having this relationship with me, like this psychological relationship. And then she started to mention Vanessa more. And then she started to say, oh, first of all, it was like, I don't quite like her. I don't know what you're doing with her. You should be with me. And, it started to become stuff like that. And I was like, no, he's all like, where's this coming from? Do you know what I mean? But it was like slipping it in constantly. And then she was going, oh, but you're looking at my nudes. Why are you looking at my nudes? And this and that. And then things she started to get darker and darker.
Had you met her privately by this stage?
No. Oh, well, I'd met her because she came to a gig.
But I mean, did you meet her for coffees or
no.
anything outside of WhatsApp?
No.
And the gigs that you couldn't really help if she turned up or not?
Yeah, I couldn't help if she turned up or not. But
by this stage, I'd imagine people listening will be wondering, why didn't you tell her to stop sending you the nudes long before it got to the WhatsApp stage? You must have found it titillating.
It wasn't really offensive. It wasn't offending me. Do you know what I mean?
But you knew it would offend Vanessa.
Yes.
That's what people are going to be thinking.
Yes. I knew.
Giving you the opportunity to put your hands up here.
Yeah. No. I'm not saying it was the right thing to do at all. I mean, I knew it would. But like I say, people, if you go on social media, if people send you nudes on Instagram all the time, trying to trap you. In fact, I think the first time, thinking about it, the first time we started to have a conversation, I said, I'm happily married. Though I wasn't married to Vanessa, but I said, I'm happily married, so let's not do that line of thing. And then she...
carried on.
She waited another month and then did it, and then did it, and then did it, that kind of thing. So anyway, so she was just sending me nudes. It was got on WhatsApp, this and that. And then one day it kind of dawned on me that, oh, crikey, me and Vanessa weren't in the best place of our relationship. It kind of pretty much had run its course. About 15 years in, 14 years in, it kind of run its course, really.
That makes more sense, because I'm sure if you was in the peak of your relationship...
Oh, no, yeah, of course.
The first nude you would have gone, block. You would have blocked like you did the others.
Yes. Yeah. But 14 years in, it's pretty much, we were on tenterhooks, really. Arguing a lot. I was... I suppose, unhappy.
This now makes more sense.
I was just unhappy, really. I was disappointed. I had sort of gone with Vanessa wanting, a life and children, and then, if not children, a dog. but marriage. Being a Christian, wanted to be married. I believe in the sanctity of marriage. I just do. I always have done. And I kind of wanted that, and I was promised that, and it never materialised. It's funny, I saw an interview with Dr. Dre and the other day, and he said, people will always tell you who they are. You just got to listen. When you meet anyone, they'll always tell you who they are. It's just that you're not listening. They'll always tell you what their intentions are. Just got to listen. And I thought to myself, wow.
They'll certainly show you.
Yeah, they'll show you their intention, but they kind of tell you. And when I met Vanessa, she said, oh, I just want someone who's happy and just someone who likes to kind of enjoy stuff, because you remind me of my Papa Willie. And so her uncle Willie or Papa Willie, or granddad Papa Willie. And you remind me of my Papa Willie, and he was really jovial and upbeat and always happy to be there, and and he was just happy to go along to things and just happy and made light of most things in life. And you really see him as his personality. You're happy to be there. And then when I watched celebs go dating, and I think Paul Brunson said, "Did you love him?" And she said, "I was just happy to love him because he was happy to be there."
That's like you being the dog.
There wasn't an intention of anything. It was just like, I just want someone who's just happy to be at my side. That's it. And I was happy to be at her side. But when I first met her, it took me 6 months to get into the relationship, because I just didn't want my life exposed in the media and all that business. And I could see that sort of thing. And she talked about a lot of personal things. And I thought, I don't want her talking about me, about this and that, like in the bedroom, or whether it's jovial or fun. I just didn't want to be exposed in that way. And she really kind of chased me. I was not really kind of into it. And so I not that I wasn't into it, I liked her company. I thought she was an amazing woman, a great raconteur, incredibly funny. And I fancied her.
Big personality,
and I fancied her. So
for the sake of the audience, we sort of stopped before we finished the end of the stalker story, but that will tie in with, I'm sure, the final collapse with you and Vanessa. So if we talk about the relationship with Vanessa and catch up with the stalker, then we can finish that story off in one swoop.
Right. Okay. Cool.
So Vanessa, how did you meet?
So my friend Keith Duffy from Boyzone, great friend of mine. He had done Celebrity Big Brother with her, the first one, which was the massive viewing figures between Channel 4 and BBC One. And he phoned me and he said, "Oh, will you come and meet me when I come outside the house, because we could get voted out every night." So every night I'd go up to the studio and I'd wait for him, and he stayed in for quite a long time. One of the nights I was watching it, there was the infamous, she was writing on the table and stuff like that. And that was like, that really shocked me. I thought, wow, this lady's lost it. This is crazy.
What was she doing?
Big Brother was the voice of power, and it told her to come to the diary room or something. And she told Big Brother to F off. And then she was writing incarcerated, trapped, boxed in. She was just writing stuff on the table. That's what the words. But I think because she had dark glasses and a leopard print dressing gown, she just looked crazy. And she was writing on the table, and it was just to do with that the voting system hit her hard, and it was just a form of rejection. And she had obviously felt rejected by her first husband. Then she comes into this house, and there's a few other people that reject her again and say she needs to be voted out. So that kind of thing. And I don't think she really felt it was going to hit her like that. So that's primarily what happened. Right. But anyway, when she came out, she was absolutely fine. But so when on the last day, and when there was sort of like a rap party, I was down there with Keith, and Keith introduced me to her. He said, "Have you ever met Vanessa?" I said, "No." He said, "Yeah, I think you'd really get on." So I met her that night, and we got on really, really well. She was in a relationship with someone. I gave him my number. Anyway, he gave me a phone call, and I'm a man about town, and I go out in London. He said, do you want to go anywhere? Do you know anywhere to go? And I goes, yeah, I know this place and whatever. And then we all went out for dinner. And then at that time, so 2 weeks later, I was seeing this girl. And she went out for dinner with me, this girl. And we went to this restaurant, and it was called Rack's Restaurant on Heddon Street in the West End. So it was her and a fella, me and this girl, and another friend and his girlfriend. And we were sitting around the table, and this girl that I was with was feeding me food. It's like a flirtatious feeding, you know, that kind of thing. It was just like a flirt thing. We just met like a week before or something. Anyway, and then Vanessa out of the blue says, she went, I'll put him down. I'm sure he can feed himself. It's like, what? We both looked at each other and then we looked at Vanessa like, where did that come from? Like, we're just here. It's just, you know, it's like couples are doing what they're doing. But obviously that was discomfort that she was having in her own life, of her own relationship. And there was obviously a hint of jealousy. Or
she was marking her future territory, wasn't she?
There was definitely something in there. It was definitely like a Freudian slip. It was something that kind of that. And then the next time I saw her, again, about 7 months later, I was in China Whites. She said, what are you up to? I said, I've just done this record. Lo and behold, the record comes on. Literally as we're talking. And then I said, it's this record I've just done. It's a record called Love the Sunshine that I did. And they were playing it there. And she goes, oh, this sounds really good and this and that. And then that was that. And then 2 years later, I saw her at the OK Magazine party. And I was with a band that I was in when we were going to represent, we were going for a song for Eurovision. The band was called 4 Story. And one of the guys in 4 Story had got really drunk. He just had a bit too much to drink. And it was kind of like, we're in a place with other celebrities and stuff like that. And I said, it's embarrassing. You're embarrassing us. You got to go home. And then a friend who lived near him, who was also in a band, goes, look, I'll take him home. We'll get him out of here and this and that. So my friends went home and I was there on my own. But I knew everyone in there and stuff like that. And I went over to see Nathan Moore from Brother Beyond. And he was standing next to Lisa Scott Lee. So I remember the night really well. And Nathan Moore was about to go on stage and sing something. And then Vanessa walked in. I was talking to Nathan Moore. He probably won't remember this. And then Vanessa walked past. And I thought, is that Vanessa? Because obviously I know her. So she walked past and she went to do a media run. Then she walked back past. And then as she walked back past, I said, Vanessa. And then she turned around. I said, oh, hey, how are you? And she just said, yeah, I'm fine. But it was kind of like a colder fine. So I said, no, it's Ben. And she went, yeah, I know. And I said, no, I do know you. I'm just not, just like...
We've had dinner together before.
Yeah, it was that kind of thing. But even though it was about 2 years before that, but I said, that's Ben. She goes, yeah, Keith's mate, Ben. So I couldn't tell whether she was, and she goes, but when she said Keith's mate, then I said, oh, yeah, how are you? Yeah, I'm all right. And then she told me that, she had something on her mind. Her daughter had been taken ill abroad and stuff. And then we just started chatting and it was just like it was a little chat up line. And I think she kind of brightened up when I was chatting to her and there was a bit of flirting.
Was you instantly attracted to her at this point?
There had been something brewing for 3-4 years. It was kind of like from the very first time to now, there'd been something there. But it wasn't, I didn't know, and it wasn't something I was trying to take further. But there was definitely an energy that was brewing. But I liked her, and we had this conversation, and I always thought, oh yeah, I remember. I like your personality. You're very funny, very witty,
strong, isn't she as well?
Yeah, strong lady. So we exchanged numbers. In fact, I said I'm in this band called 4 Story, and we're going in to go for a song for Europe. Can we come onto your show?
What was her show at the time?
She just had a little radio show on BBC London.
Okay, so this is before LBC.
This is before all of that. When I met Vanessa, she had a small show on BBC London. All the big time Vanessa stuff from the 90s had finished.
Right.
So there was no allure to her. Yes, she was known, but there was no allure like people subsequently think to her celebrity or, it's a massive catch for me or it wasn't that. I genuinely liked her as a person and liked the lady. So, and it was a small show. And I said it for 2 reasons. The first reason was so I could get to see her again, because there was obviously something there. And then, so I kind of made up this kind of thing, and she goes, oh, it's a talk show, there's no music. I goes, oh, well, we'll just sing a cappella, but then you can interview us. And she goes, all right, that'd be an idea. Then she gave me her producer's number. Her producer rang me the next day. Then we went to do the show on the Saturday. So say like that was a Friday night. Producer rang me on the Saturday. Are you free next Saturday? Yes, we are. So we went in to do the show. We went in to do the show. After the show, we went for a drink with the whole band. The band left, and me and Vanessa were left in the pub together. And then we started talking and this and that, and and then the real flirtation started. But I genuinely enjoyed her company, and I think she just enjoyed mine. So then it became that we'd have dinner, or we'd meet up once a week for a dinner or a function or something that was under the radar. You'd
make excuses to meet.
Yes. Yeah, completely that. We kind of enjoyed each other's company. And then sort of halfway through kind of doing it, I was kind of thinking, I'm not sure about this actually. Is this the right thing? And, she's kind of a little bit older than me. And
how much older is she?
Only 10 years. It's not loads, but it was. I thought she's a little bit older than me, and I don't know if she clearly wanted something, and I liked her a lot, but I just thought I don't really want my life to be in the media. And
for the wrong reasons.
For the wrong reasons, yeah. Right now, I make a record, you like it, you like it. If you don't, you don't. That was the only media I did. Let's talk about the record. It was that kind of thing. So I kind of I wasn't really, really sure about it. And then the more we kind of met up, and then what happened was my father had passed away in August 2005 or whatever, and this sort of stuff started happening sort of late 2005. And she was incredibly empathetic and incredibly mothering.
And you were vulnerable?
I was vulnerable. My dad had passed, and then my nephew passed shortly after, and I was having like panic attacks and stuff. And we went to Scott's restaurant for dinner, and I was visibly shaking.
Right.
And she asked me what was wrong, and I didn't quite know. I wouldn't say because I didn't want to appear. So I thought I was putting on my best face, but she could see I wasn't the same guy. Because I thought I dealt with all that trauma. And then, like grief, it comes out.
Waves.
In waves, yeah. So this grief sort of came. I didn't quite know what it was. I just, something wasn't right with me. That's what I knew. I knew I wasn't feeling right. I'd be shaking and doing things, and my heart would start beating really fast and stuff like that in certain situations. And I'd think, I should go to the doctor. I don't know what's going on. And it's only when I went to the doctor and he said it was the trauma. But she was really caring about that, really, really sympathetic. And
nice.
And yeah, no, it's a great quality that she has. And that was the first time. And so that, for me, understood. And then I started to think, wow, I really like this woman.
Did she make you feel safe?
It was kind of like mothering. I couldn't get it from anywhere else. And all of a sudden there's this woman, she's slightly older, so it made it okay that she was kind of motherly.
She probably slotted into that role perfectly.
Perfectly, yeah. And then I fell for her at that point. And then the conversation was just like, well, I think I love you, and I don't care what anyone says. Let's do it, because I'm in love and I want to do that. I was 34, she was 44. It was absolutely fine, and we enjoyed each other's company. And then we got together.
And what was it like at the start? Was it explosive, lustful?
It was all of the above in the beginning. I thought I'd found my soulmate. I found out very fast that it wasn't, but I thought for a while that I had. And we'd go everywhere together. I enjoyed going absolutely anywhere. I think the first thing we went to was a bar mitzvah of a friend's daughter. And then we went to the races, and then we just go places. And as long as we were together, it was absolutely fine.
And how many good years did you have?
6 maybe even 7 good years.
And then 10, 11 rocky ones.
Yeah, I would say so. I mean, I was there for way too long.
What's she like to live with?
For the first 6 years, she was great.
What's she like to live with for the N10?
It was rough. It was rough because I don't know whether it's a job or whatever, but, you know, she has a way of emasculating I felt emasculated.
That's a very honest thing to say.
Yeah.
And a man can't live like that.
True. They can't. You know, you think you can. And it takes a sort of man. I was really, really happy for her in everything that she achieved. And I was very, very proud of her in absolutely everything that she did. And I'd get excited when she goes, "Oh, I've just got this job, or I've just got this advert," and I'd get excited for her.
What things would she do to emasculate you?
She'd shout at me. And I'd be like, "Why'd you go from 0 to 60? Like, you know when like a parent shouts at a child, that kind of thing. She'd undermine everything I was doing. She'd also have this thing where, you know, I want you to work and go and earn money, but then when you're going to work and earn money, she'd be like, "Why are you going away? What are you going away for? You know, this, that. We've got to go on holiday. We've got to do this and that." It was like, well, I can't go on holiday and earn money. I need to go and do what I'm doing. And she kind of convinced me to move in. I was living in a flat in Westbourne Park, and I got rid of that to move in, which I should never have done. She was lovely. I was supportive of her, but she used to shout at me in the street and stuff, just kind of like...
publicly?
Yeah, and I'd get like tweets like, "I saw you and Vanessa Feltz and thing, all the way she spoke to you," or something. I mean, that was a common tweet. I mean, that was a like common thing. And so it was just that kind of thing. And you know what? You just became used to it. And I just thought that's just part of her personality. She doesn't mean it. It's not like, because she doesn't really stay angry for long. But there was no reason to be like that.
If you ever had TV appearances together, would she take the lead role and be the dominant one?
No, see, we clicked in a lot of places because we were both competitive. And so that was the thing we bonded with. Like, you know, I remember the first day we did Supermarket Sweep with Dale Winton. We just gave each other this look and then we went for it. We both went on to win like Pointless 3 times, or I think we both won it 3 times. I won it twice with her and once without her, and she's won it twice with me and once without me. So, you know, we're just competitive people. Who Wants to Be a Millionaire? We did really well on that. I don't think she answered the question, but that's another story. But nevertheless, you know, we
She won't like that.
she won't like it, but the footage is there on the internet. So we clicked in that way. I was good at letting her do what she wanted to do. I haven't got a problem. I'm very, very confident in myself. I became less confident towards the end of our relationship, but I'm very, very confident in myself. I'm a singer. I can act. I can dance. I've always been a performer. I get up on any stage at any time. I've toured with Take That, Will Smith. You know, you name it, I've done it all. Boyzone, you know. So I've been in the business for years. So I'm a very confident man.
Well, it says a lot for a man of your stature that's happy to put himself in those very uncomfortable situations for most people. I mean, public speaking, dancing, singing, that's like probably people's number one fear ahead of death. But you've got the confidence to do all that, but she was still able to emasculate you.
Yeah, I mean...
That's quite something.
I don't know how she did it. I think you chip away.
It's a gradual process.
It's a gradual process. So it's like, you know, you're not really earning as much money as me. You're not as clever as I am. You're not really doing this. You're not, you know, it's that kind of thing.
Did she ever air any dirty laundry in public?
There was one episode where my friend had a girl that he was seeing, a random girl. And she was talking to this girl for a long time. And I thought, oh, that's great. And 2 are getting on. So, you know, me and my friend was having a good conversation. A week later, he rang me and said, "Dude, what's up with your girl, man?" I said, "What's going on?" He said, Vanessa's been telling my girlfriend all like saying you're lazy and you don't earn any money and you don't do this and you don't do that and she paid for the last holiday and like this girl that she never met till that day since. I couldn't believe it. I was just like, why would you say? I mean, half it's not true, but why would you say that? And she goes, oh, the first reaction was, oh, that's such a, she broke the girl code. I'm like, what about what you said?
What about our code?
Yeah, what about our code? Like, what's that mean? I've been with you 10 years now. Like, why would you, like, I didn't understand it. But that's her first reaction. She was more annoyed about breaking the girl code than she was about what she said. I once said, I just want to be respected as a person. Like, and she said, I don't respect you. And she used to say stuff like that. And it's only now I think, why would you stay there? Because I was in love. And if someone breaks you down gradually, so you don't feel worthy, then you kind of put up with it, kind of go along with it, because you don't really think. And before you know it, my whole personality changed, you know. And, you know, a lot of friends would see me, my family were kind of, didn't want to say anything, but they were like a little bit worried about it.
How did your personality change? Become more insular?
More insular.
Lost your swag?
Yes, completely.
Yeah.
Completely.
I mean, we all need people, and the other way around, we all need people to pump us up because there's enough shit out there knocking us down.
Yeah.
You don't need it indoors.
It just happened over time.
Before we go to the very decline of the relationship and then tie it in with the stalker, because I'm sure it all sort of fits in. I just want to, there's one thing that I've always been interested in. It was when you went on Wife Swap.
Yeah.
So you lived with Debbie McGee and Vanessa lived with Paul Daniels.
Yeah.
So I kind of want to know, what were they like to live with?
Right.
What did Vanessa Feltz say about Paul Daniels? Because he was an interesting character, wasn't he?
R.I.P. Paul Daniels. You know, he was a legend.
Total legend, wasn't he?
Yeah, he was a legend. But I actually, although Vanessa didn't know this, I actually quite liked him. He's a very much, but I can understand. I think he's very much a man's man. It's old school man's man. So I think she felt he was slightly sexist.
That wouldn't sit well with Vanessa, would it?
No, not at all. And they teed him up. RDF teed him up because they thought, here you got a feminist and here you got a man that's sexist. So let's stick them together. You know, that was Wife Swap was built on conflict.
Yeah, that's great TV.
Yeah. But they were too long in the tooth and they knew how television worked.
Right.
So they weren't giving the production company what the production company wanted. So they were taking the cash, but not delivering. And they both didn't like each other, but they both were playing the same game. So Paul Daniels was threatening to walk every 2 seconds. Vanessa was threatening to walk. They were just being the opposite of what was going on.
Right.
So someone at the production company must have said, you've got to get something out of Debbie and Ben then, because these two aren't delivering. So me and Debbie had worked out in the very, very beginning that they were trying to manipulate us into not liking each other. And I thought, what's there not to like? It's the lovely Debbie McGee. It's me. I get on with everyone. Let's have fun. So she came to a gig, this and that. Then they got to her and she switched. Debbie McGee switched. And I think maybe she wanted to stand out in her own right, because one of the things that she pointed out was I was going to be in Vanessa's shadow. And maybe she felt she was in Paul's shadow. So she switched on me and she started saying to me, oh, you know, I know you're a singer, but you're no Robbie Williams, are you? You're not this, you're not that. And I just remember thinking, while she was laying into me, I mean, I still can't watch the footage now. So I'm sensitive soul. There's a lot of things I can't watch. While she was laying into me, I thought to myself, here I am, a big 6'4" black man, and she is a small white lady. And if I do anything or say anything, I'm going to look so aggressive.
Oh, yeah.
And embarrassed. And I come from the days when black people represented other black people. So I come from the days when if there was a black person on the telly, you'd call your brothers and sisters and say, Mum, Dad, or, Clement, Alan, there's a black person on the telly. You'd all come and watch. And that black person represented every black person. So you put on your best behaviour when you're on the television. That's just the days I come from. I'll never be able to change that. That's just who I am. And that was going through my head. Don't react. Even though she's humiliating you now on national TV, don't react and don't say anything. And all she was saying was, I was lazy, and I was saying, because the narrative that RDF wanted was, I was just this black guy who was living off Vanessa. This is the narrative that they want. They still want.
Were you coined a gold digger?
Yeah. And this is the narrative that they all want. This is the narrative that's playing till this very day. And it's like, well, no, I've sold 7 million records. How is that? How's that a narrative? I've toured with the biggest bands in the world. New Kids on the Block, take that. I've been, I'm known. The record turnaround was massive in every country in the world. And I'm not only a one-hit wonder. Feel Good from Phats Small. We did 1 million on that. We did 1 million on Tonight. Very few people sold 2 million records in their whole career. I got 2 records that sold 2 million, plus I got Turnaround that sold 4.5 million. And that's just the records that were counted. In those days, they were doing white labels. I've been on stage in South Africa, Madagascar, Kazakhstan, Russia. It's ridiculous to me. They say, oh, well, he was walking the red carpets, or he just used us to walk the red carpets. Keith Duffy introduced me to Vanessa Feltz. Is that famous enough for people?
Well, you was just massive. Phats and Small Turnaround was huge. I know we're veering off, but just to put it in context, Phats and Small, when Turnaround would come on in any club, and I was club mad back then, the whole gaff would erupt over any other song.
Yeah. Totally.
There was a couple of others, give him credit where it's due. Xavier, love Xavier.
Yeah.
Another big tune.
And 99 was a big year for house music, but we were the biggest record on the radio in 1999. Robbie Williams' Strong was number 2. We were selling roughly 80,000 records a week. I mean, our competitors weren't house music. Our competitors were Westlife and S Club 7. That's what we were competing against. We weren't competing even that people made house music. Turnaround was an avalanche of a record. And not only that, it was worldwide. It wasn't just the UK. It was France. I mean, I was barely in Britain in 1999. So much so that I came home and heard about garage. I kind of missed the early garage stuff because I wasn't here. So I was in Spain. I was in, Europe and stuff. So I kind of missed it. But so the whole Vanessa for fame thing, I said, people, I don't understand it. Sometimes it's kind of frustrating. So I try not to read the comments too much, But just for the record straight, never a gold digger. There's Google. Research record sales. We were selling vinyls, singles, the gigs I've done. I've had a career. I started in the late 80s making records with Brian Dugan's, and he was in a band called Stacker Humanoid. 1988, when I was 16. Humanoid went to number 17 in the national charts in 88. This is before I got into the boy band stuff. This is that I had a house music career before then the boy band stuff, then Phats and Small. It's just been so that narrative does frustrate me. It does frustrate me. But nevertheless, anyway, so I was felt emasculated, and everything I did wasn't as important because she earned more money than doing things than I did. And the disrespect started to spill over, I felt, with the daughters and stuff like that, sometimes the way they would speak to me. And so,
monkey see, monkey do, innit?
And so there was a little bit of that wasn't a major thing, but there was little things like that. And the Bible says, don't be with someone who's quick-tempered, because if you hang around them, you will learn their ways. So my temper started to become shorter after about 7 or 8 years.
We mirror each other, don't we?
Yeah. She was always right, and she could never be wrong, and it was her views and this and that. And then it became, after I'd given up my flat, kind of like you're living in her house, so it's her rules. And And there was a lot of that sort of stuff going on. And really looking back, and it's only through therapy, I should have walked years ago. I don't know why. If I knew that, I'd be God. I don't know why I stayed around. I now think that the situation that happened was all meant to be.
The stalking situation.
There's one situation before that,
okay,
which I can be honest about.
So I'm not too sure what you can and can't talk about, so roll with it.
All right, okay, cool. So Vanessa and I were having a lot of problems. Every day, we argued a lot. And we sort of put it down to passion. One of the main things was she didn't want to get married. She said she wanted to get married. And then she didn't want to get married. We were offered all this money from magazines and stuff like that. And she said, don't you think we're rushing? And I said, oh, fine. But we do want to get married because we got engaged. And then as time went on, she blatantly started saying, well, I'm not going to marry you. And, you know, there was one time that her niece came to my nephew's house. It was a family party. And her niece, who must have been about 7 then, said, my auntie's not going to marry your uncle. So she kind of knew. My family clearly didn't get on with her. She never saw them. They never saw each other. And they kind of put up with the fact that I was going with her and I was happy. But they really was just like, I don't know what you're doing. You know, there was a lot of that. I had friends who was going like, you know, because she would speak to me in a certain way with my friends there as well. And they were just like, wow, you're a better man than me. I don't know if I could kind of do that. So that was really, that was basically the climate of our relationship.
In a toxic, cycled relationship where people are trauma bonded, and I don't want to put words into your mouth, you find yourself going back, getting caught in this loop, and you're double guessing yourself, and you're, why do I keep going back? The makeup, the breakup, it becomes an addiction. It sounds to me like there was a bit of that in there. Am I right? Am I wrong in saying that?
Oh, yeah, definitely.
And it takes a long time to break that cycle. And then at what stage do you start falling out of love with them, or does it all come to an end whilst you're still in love with them? And because what happened with your stalker and you got caught out, obviously she's going to see it from a different point of view as you. She's going to see it as, well, you're receiving nudes, you're talking to somebody. And so was your hand forced to completely have that relationship severed? Do you know what I mean?
The reason why the stalker thing was so bad, and the reason why I took the threats from the stalker when she started changing, saying she hated Vanessa, this, that, and then she would say, right, I'm going to tell Vanessa that you've been looking at sex pictures of me. I'm going to tell her that her man's cheating. I said, well, I'm not cheating. Well, I'm going to tell her and this and that. And my relationship wouldn't have survived that, and I knew that because I went to Ibiza. I got a call from a good friend of mine, Dane Bowers, and he was like, Reggie and Bowley have pulled out of this gig in a place in Ibiza called Jacaranda, and it's ran by a woman called Mandy Hayes. Now, I'm saying these names because Mandy sold a story to the paper and tried to change her name. And I'm like, if you're going to sell a story for X amount of money to a paper and pretend that some of it went to charity, then stand up and be counted. We're all being counted here. So don't change your name. Like, your name's Amanda Hayes. And you're called Crazy Mandy. That's the nickname of this woman. So I went to Ibiza and I did this show. The show was amazing. I went with Jason Phats of Phats Small. Did the show. Show was an incredible show. Went to this bar after to have a drink. One of the women who was... So Dane had just organised the gig, but he wasn't there. But he's the one who told me about the gig, which he does all the time, tells me about gigs and I go and do them and whatnot. So I went to this bar, and then this woman who was looking after us, and Mandy ran the holiday resort, said, Mandy doesn't look very happy, and she's the boss. Will you go over and talk to her and stuff like that, and just, maybe it's a keep the job sort of thing, I don't know. So I thought, yeah, fine, good old Benny walks over there, starts having this chat with Mandy, seems absolutely fine, she's great, and so we're getting on, stuff like that, we're drinking, and then she goes, okay, I need to go home back. I said, you walking back? You said, you can't walk on your own. She goes, oh, I live around it. I said, no, I'll walk you back. So walked her back to her place. She's flirting a little bit, but it was nothing meant to be. She goes in her room. I go in my room. So it's 12:30, 1 o'clock. 3:30, do. Massive knock at my door. So I'm jumping up, half asleep. I think it's Jason Phats, the DJ. Opens the door. And it's Mandy, who did one of those, one of those films sort of runs into your arms and starts kissing you and is kind of on the bed and doing it. I mean, so I'm kind of drunk and stuff. And then we ended up having sex. And this is the first time that I'd ever... Cheated, yeah. First time I ever cheated in my life. But by the time I'd got to Ibiza with Dane and stuff like that, me and Vanessa, we were kind of struggling. She was telling me I was no good as a person and I don't really amount to much, and she didn't have any respect for me. I should have got out of the relationship then. I didn't. I ended up going to Ibiza where another woman was paying me like loads of attention and saying how great I was just over this flirt thing in the bar and stuff like that. And so that's what I think was going on psychologically.
Yeah.
Underneath. Like an underneath. It wasn't my first fault, but that's what was going on psychologically.
You felt valued again after a long time.
I think that's the thing. So Mandy knocked on my door. She owned the results. She knew...
Not that I'm condoning your infidelity.
Well, I've admitted I've been... Because that's the only cheat. So this serial cheat thing that the paper are running with, like I've slept with multiple amount of people. One of the papers said, he goes around to holiday parks and he's sleeping with different... It's like...
Did Vanessa make a statement that you slept with hundreds of women behind her back?
She says several. She alludes... Vanessa's very clever. What you'll see is that she...
In doing my research, I've seen different numbers.
Exactly. So what Vanessa does is that she alludes to things. She won't say anything because it's legal. So she just alludes to, I don't know. I think there were several women. I don't think this. I'm lonely. I'm single. I'm old. That really what she's saying is that Ben, that bastard Ben, mind games. She's media.
Media trained. Well, for the record then, how many women did you sleep with behind Vanessa's back?
None, apart from Mandy Hayes. That was it. That's what's so funny about this whole thing. It's like, I'm not a serial cheater. I've never cheated in my life. It was just Amanda Hayes. And I keep saying her name because I want her name to be out there, because I think everyone should be stand up and be counted.
And did she sell that story?
Yeah. She sold that story to the Sun. I think the Sun flew out to Thailand to it was the Daily Mail or the Sun, one of them, but she sold the story.
Do you think she come in seduced and had sex with you purposefully to sell the story?
No, I think she knew I was with Vanessa, but she just wanted sex at that time, and she...
Why would she sell the story?
Oh, this is years later. She didn't sell it straight away.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, no, she didn't sell it. She sold it like 3 years later. So basically what happened was, and then I woke up in the morning and I felt absolutely terrible. So now I'm thinking, oh no, this is damage limitation, what's going to happen? And I thought, I pulled myself together and I thought, you know what? If no one finds out, you'll be okay. And you'll kind of do that. I think we were there for another day. And the main thing was not to tell the DJ I was with. It's a rookie move. It's a woman owns the resort. She's paying you. And you start sleeping. I mean, it's an unheard of thing. It's a silly thing to do, for starters, because you're messing with your business.
Did you have one more for the road?
Well, what happened was she...
Ben.
Yeah, no. What happens is, once you tell one lie, what happens is you find yourself telling another lie.
Yes.
And you fall into it, and before you know it, you don't know where you are because you've told that initial lie. When it's always better to just be honest and come straight out with the truth. But because I told that lie and I didn't want anyone to know, and I mean anyone apart from her, and the next day she woke up and she was acting normal, I thought, oh, well, she's an adult. She's 10 years older than me as well. So I just thought this would be a thing. And then that night, again, she knocked on my door again. So I thought, oh, well, that night went okay. we'll do that night. But also it was trying to sort of keep the kind of ship afloat. I didn't want to be, it was just the stupidest thing I've ever done.
You think if you reject her, she's going to grass you up?
When you've done something wrong, you try to rationalise it in your mind. And that's what happened. And I kind of got away with it. And then the next time we saw this woman, I was in Thailand. She had a resort in Thailand, and she had a resort in Ibiza and something in Thailand. We went over to do a gig. Then the first night in Thailand, I'd been 4 or 5 months at home with Vanessa. And then we went to Thailand, and she was thinking the same thing was going to go on. So she pulled me aside, and that night, and then halfway through whatever we were doing, I was thinking to myself, I don't want to do this. I don't even fancy her. I'm doing this so that no one finds out.
You're now doing it for the third time to save yourself from the first time.
Exactly. And I could see the cycle. And I just thought, Ben, grow a pair and tell this woman this ain't on. You know I'm with someone, like, I don't want to do this. Like, this is almost like... And then I told her, and all hell broke loose, because I think that she's used to getting what she wants. I think she's a wealthy woman, and everyone kind of does what she says. And when she's had a drink, she's quite, aggressive. I found her. These are my opinions. These are all my views of her, my personal opinions. I think that she's quite aggressive when she's had a drink. I think people work for her. I think they're scared of her.
That's kind of what you gravitate towards, though, isn't it? That strength, domineering female.
Not anymore. Not anymore.
But then
I must have been in that space. I grew up with strong women. But strong women doesn't have to mean that they emasculate you and that they're aggressive and that they are. It doesn't mean that. So that's what I've learned. A strong woman is a strong woman. She doesn't have to be loud, talk eloquently, and be disrespectful. So I found Mandy disrespectful when she got drunk. And so I said it to her, and all hell broke loose, and then that was it. And then it came out to Jason, who was incredibly angry. Jason Phats, who was incredibly angry that had happened, and he had every right to be, because it's kind of like, it's the most stupid. He wouldn't even need to tell me not to do that. So we've been gigging for like 20-something years. It was just a really silly thing to do. Did
you tell him that a stiff prick has no conscience?
Yeah, no, it was a silly thing. But I felt that he made it worse, because I felt that he kind of backed her, and he knew that she was called Crazy Mandy, and he knew that, and that was her nickname, and he kind of backed her, and that really, really hurt me, and I'll say that openly. I'm not a victim.
But you felt betrayed by him anyway.
I did, and then that was that. Fast forward, she came to the UK to have an operation or something like that, and she wanted me to come and see her. I said to her, I'm in the UK, Mandy, what don't you understand? I'm not having I'm in a relationship, I'm not. And it's not like it was a struggle. I was only doing it, like you said a really good thing. I was only doing it the third time to stop everyone finding out about the first time. It was that kind of thing. It was like a terrible mistake that I had made, and I didn't come and see her. I didn't go and see her. It was like a Thursday night. On the Friday, she sent 2 emails to Vanessa's email address at the BBC. And then at both shows, one at BBC London and one at Radio 2. And she sent emails. And then she continued. And in all, she sent 22 emails, which would have been, I was horrified. And it would have been the most embarrassing and shocking thing for Vanessa. Because, bosses knew and certain people knew and stuff like that.
Oh, so would other people have access to Vanessa's emails?
Yeah. And
that's spiteful.
This is the lady we're talking about.
There's one thing getting revenge on you because she feels like you've rejected her. Yeah. But then to do that to Vanessa privately is one thing, to say, look, I just want to let you know, which again, spiteful because it takes 2 to tango. Yeah. But to actually involve like people that she works with.
Yeah. Well, she was like trying to say to her, she sort of came on an angle that, you know, we're all women, we should stick together and this and that, you know, like every woman, when they can't get what they want, not every woman, but certain women, they can't get what they want, they say, I'm only letting you know because it's a girls' club and a girls' gang. And it's like, no, it should be the girl code, not sleeping with someone who's with someone. That should be the girl code. Not the girl code is like, I'm going to tell you after I've done it.
3 times.
Exactly. So she did it, and it was horrific, and that was the first time that it'd come out.
What was Vanessa's reaction to that?
Horrified, annoyed, and horrified.
Did she blow her top or sort of?
Yeah, she did, and I deserved every. I get it. It came out in the worst way.
Mm.
You know, I loved Vanessa a lot, but in order to even get in that place, you have to be unhappy.
Men need to feel respected.
Yes.
If you don't feel respected in a relationship, it's downhill pretty quick.
Yeah, and I didn't know that.
And also, everybody, men and women, we want to feel wanted. So if you're not feeling wanted for a long duration of time, all of a sudden somebody makes you feel wanted. Human beings do silly things.
Yeah.
When they feel neglected. I mean, I've seen it over the years many, many times where unintentionally one partner pushes the other into the arms of another, and it's done subtly and gradually, and it's, you know, if you start packing up the neglect and the belittling and not giving somebody the worth and respect, you are pushing them away, and we all need to land somewhere. Yeah. So anyone watching this in a relationship, you know, if you're not giving your partner enough respect or attention, men or women, just bear in mind that everyone's got a breaking point, and eventually, if somebody shows them what they crave, they will lean into it because we're all animals.
Yeah. You know what? I mean, it's the truth. I know people don't want to hear it. It's no cop-out. It's just the truth. I should have been out of that relationship with Vanessa years and years before.
And also, like you say, yeah, I'm not justifying cheating by any stretch of the imagination. And really, if you've got true strength of character, you call it a day before you do that, before you cross the line. But again, we're all very imperfect people. Yeah. That's another thing people need to remember when they're judging people. It's like, you're not perfect. I guarantee you've made your mistakes, probably a lot worse than that. And in an ideal world.
Thank you for saying that. You know, it's funny because, you know, I mean, every day I judge myself, and you can't help reading comments and stuff. And social media doesn't allow you to be human.
There'll be a lot of projection coming your way. So I wouldn't feel anywhere near as bad as you have done, because you've owned up to it, you've owned it, you've gone to therapy for it, and you can't allow that shit to haunt you forever.
It's weird, isn't it? You think you got rid of it, and it's still there. It's still there.
Trauma lingers, man.
Yeah, it does. You know, so basically, when she'd sent all of those emails and stuff, she rang Jason Phats, and he said, yeah, it's true. So hence the reason why me and Jason Phats don't speak.
Right.
And won't be friends, and that's that. And, you know, which was shocking to me, absolutely shocking. Not that I would have denied it, but let me say it's true. Don't validate something that someone said or whatever. But I think he was fed up with me, or I don't know what his reasons were, or whatever he says they were. But that's the truth. So that's the breakup of me not having anything to do with Jason Phats, is that.
When that incident took place, how long before the stalking started?
About 2 years later.
So Vanessa forgave you initially?
She did, but the relationship was walking on thin ice. And this girl, Yelda, was sending me these nudes. And then she started to have this psychotic hate for Vanessa. And she would start getting on the phone and abusing that such and such, calling Vanessa names and stuff like that. I couldn't understand what her issue was. You know what I mean? But for me, she's a psychopath. So she was jealous of me being with Vanessa. But I knew that Vanessa couldn't handle
another blow.
Yeah, whether I was sex texting, whether I was sleeping with someone, whether I wasn't sleeping with anyone, but she couldn't handle that. I get that. So now I'm gone back into my old self, trying to appease this girl. No, don't say this. Trying to have more conversations than I would have, trying to calm this fire down, thinking there's no damage that's been done. She kept on doing it. And then she's one of these girls who going on social media, and then I started to work out what sort of person this was. And this was a person who had targeted celebrity black men, and there'll be black men watching this now, celebrities, UK celebrities, you know who you are. And it's a girl called Yelda, and she's targeted them before. She goes in, she does all this kind of thing, and then she causes a problem, and then she runs to the police and says, oh, this person's abusing me, that person's abusing me. And she's done it loads of times. Her older sister is a police officer. So maybe that's the way that she's been able to scrape through the law or whatever, that she knows what she's doing by pointing the finger at anyone else and she's got away with it. And then I started to find out that she had been on the internet before for harassing people and stuff like that. It's a whole thing for her.
And how would it escalate?
Ringing management, ringing theatre directors that I was working with, saying, this guy is I think she called me a paedophile or something. This guy is a paedophile, which is, who uses that terminology just to call someone that?
It's a no-go if it's not true.
Yeah, of course.
It's the no-go.
Why would you? This is how crazy she is. He's a rapist, he's a paedophile, he's this, he's that. What? I mean, just absolute madness. But the problem was, I was so broken with the split from Vanessa and me. I was getting 1,000 messages a day, at least 1,000. You this, you that.
Is this because the cheating went public?
Yeah. And this girl, she was attacking anyone I was with, friends, hairdressers, whatever. I was doing a play at the time. She was phoning she was getting their numbers. She's one of these internet people that stay at home and they do all these kind of things.
Trolling people.
She was trolling absolutely everyone. And I couldn't understand what she wanted. You'd split up a 17-year relationship. Where's the shame? Why are you still trolling and doing stuff? And she's just remained anonymous, but her name is Yelda. I'm not going to say her surname. So Yelda was doing everything, and then my younger brother was taken ill, and he was having problems. And this is 2022. So me and Vanessa were in problems, and there was this Yelda that was threatening me every day, and she was already sending these Instagram stuff to Vanessa, but I got inside Vanessa's phone and I was blocking the words so she couldn't see, because I knew the way this girl spoke. Then all of a sudden, my brother was taken ill, and I got 2 twin brothers, and unfortunately we lost my brother. And just kind of, in 2022, August, we lost him. Just kind of spiraled a little bit, Started drinking a lot more and all that sort of stuff.
How old was he?
He was 47.
Rest in peace. That's terrible. That's too young. Sorry, brother.
And so I started drinking a bit more, and it's a bit more careless, And then I went to do a gig in Butlins with my band, Boys on Block, with Abs and Dane. And we had this, our normal driver wasn't around, so we hired this other driver. It was absolutely fine on the way up. And then we was doing a gig, then he got drunk, and the driver got drunk. And we didn't know he was getting drunk. We was on stage performing. So we came backstage and then went out into the audience to do, to take selfies with the crowd and stuff like that. And then the security guard came and got us and said, can you come backstage, please? So we we're thinking, what's going on? So we go back and then they explain to us that our driver's got drunk and he's got into an argument with the security because he's trying to bring some girls backstage or something like that. With this guy we never met, we didn't even know this guy. So we lose our minds because it's a great gig and we don't want any problems with this gig, and we don't and there's some random driver that we'll never see again, you know, to do this. He'd obviously never been on a gig before and he must have just got so excited. I don't know what he was doing. So anyway, I say that incident to say at 6 o'clock in the morning, I get a call from Vanessa and she says to me, Ben, where are you? I'm like, I'm in bed in Butlins. Why, what's going on? So I think something's wrong. She goes, well, when you come home, I've packed your bags and I'm leaving and your bags will be outside the door. And I've got your key because you forgot your key. I've got the key and don't ever come back to my house again. I'm like, what? She said, you said to a girl last night, you made a sexual proposal to her. I said, what? I'm half asleep. I'm like, what? No. And then I call her on FaceTime. And I say, look, I'm in my room. Like, there's no one here. Like, what are you talking about? No, you said to this girl, blah, blah, blah. It sounded like you, so I think, I'm going to call it a day now, a relationship. And I couldn't believe it. So I said, no, I didn't. I said, we had a massive problem yesterday. Our driver got drunk and we had to sort the whole thing out. And then he killed the night for us, basically. Driver was drunk. He just put her down on the whole night. The security were angry with the driver, this and that. Let's go back to the chalet and have a drink there. You know when someone ruins the night, he goes on a massive downer. I said, so that's what happened. So I remember that night. He said, no, the girl said you said it. I said, so someone texts you at 4 o'clock in the morning, a drunk girl texts you, and you believe that over me saying, but because of the tenterhooks of the relationship, I get it, but it's like they're at this holiday resort. They've been drinking for 3 days straight. And Vanessa answered her back and said, did you sleep with him? And she said, no, but I could have if I wanted to. Really? I'm going to be taking selfies with about 200 girls and Dane and Abs, and I'm just going to go, yeah, da-da-da, I'll just go off and sleep with you. I said, think about it. How would I have done that? I was just taking selfies with people. That's what the new autographs are, aren't they? They're selfies. So that was that. So anyway, so I come home, bags outside the door, can't get into the house. So I have to book a hotel for 3 weeks. Meanwhile, I'm trying not to tell anyone that Vanessa's chucked me out of my house for 3 weeks and this and that. I don't want to tell my sisters, I don't want to tell my brother. I just wanted to kind of do that. And then by the 15th of December, Vanessa wanted to bring the children to come along and watch a show. They come along and me and her make up, and okay, cool. She chucked me out. She still was believing the girl on social media. That I still till this day don't know where it came from. But I have had a conversation with Vanessa who she says 100 girls came out and said that they've slept with you.
That's where I got the figure 100 from.
Right, yeah. That's what she said. She had 100 girls. You know how many DMs I've got with girls saying that they've slept with you? And then she made the mistake of sending me a girl, because she keeps defending all these girls and hiding their names and all that business. She made the mistake of sending me one girl's name. And oh my gosh, this girl, I don't think she'll even go back on social media. What I told this girl was like, I was like, how, I just won't even repeat it. But nevertheless, this girl made up this thing that I was always trying to chat her up, and she knew me and this and that. I wouldn't know this girl from a can of paint. I don't know. I don't have that, so I'm confident with it. It's not 100 girls can't come and say, I said, why are you believing? Like, these are random people. The fact you're even answering. I said, the first girl said I said something, right? Then you've told me that another girl said I said exactly the same thing to her, right? It's 2 days later. What am I, a robot? I just go around saying this one thing to girls. I said, they're obviously mates, and you've responded as a celebrity, and so they've picked up on the fact that you've responded, and now they're all doing it. These are a group of girls from his holiday resort. They've been drinking for hours. It's not real. But when your relationship is broken and you're on tenterhooks because there was a mistake that was actually made, even I get it now.
You're on the back foot.
You're on the back foot all the time, and everything, you're guilty now. You're guilty all the time, every single time. So we maybe should have never even carried on from that point. But I wasn't to know that that was going to happen. Anyway, this stalker got really angry because I'd blocked Vanessa's phone, hidden certain words in her phone, so she couldn't type, because this girl's like an imbecile, and she types in a certain way. And I say all these names because, no, I don't like her, and I think she's a horrible, horrible bit of work, and I think she should have been sorted out by the Metropolitan Police years ago. But they're never going to do anything. You know, I went into Scotland Yard. I said to the policeman, he types in her name, he goes, bloody hell, when he looks on the computer. I reported her, no, in fact, I went into Essex Police first and reported her. They went silent. Yeah. So, well, it's not really our case. It's kind of, should go to the Met. So we're going to transfer it over to the Met. This girl's ringing me 100 times a day. Keeps on ringing me. Didn't think of changing my number because I'm all over the place. I'm not even thinking straight. I'm going from hotel to hotel with my mind all over the place, because me and Vanessa had split up at that time. We split up in a taxi that was going to, we were due to go to a friend's birthday party.
And that was the final, that was the end.
Yes. We were due to go to a friend's birthday party. We're sitting in this taxi. Ben, you do know this person. I clutch at straws, meanwhile, I'm thinking, I'm going to absolutely go mad at this girl. This is crazy. And I knew my relationship
was done.
Yeah, and I knew it couldn't survive it. And I told this girl way too much, like an oversharer, that don't do that, please, because it won't end well for my relationship. And I didn't think I'd done this girl anything bad, apart from entertain a few nudes and have a few sex texts, but not, it's cheating, but it's not like I've done anything with her.
If the roles were reversed, what would you have done, be honest? If Vanessa was accepting nudes from men, oversharing and sexting.
I'm not.
Would you have forgiven her? Food for thought.
There's a few things that I let slide from Vanessa. A few things I let slide. I was told twice that she'd been unfaithful to me. Twice. By members of her family and her best friend.
And did you choose to ignore it, or did you investigate?
I questioned it. She said to me, they're horrible people. They're just saying that. I said, but why that particular thing? I said, but why that? They could have said anything. Why did your best friend and your sister say the same thing?
So did you choose to disbelieve it so you could continue a happy life? Because if you don't see it with your own eyes or hear it with your own ears, you can pretend it hasn't happened.
I don't know what. It's just, I believed her. Just, okay, well, happy. It just didn't sound right to me.
But it weren't all one-way traffic, is what I'm just trying to work out.
Yeah. No.
There was accusations from both sides.
Yeah, it wasn't smooth sailing. She wrote really horrible things about me in her book. But in this car, she says she jumped out of a moving car and hurt her leg or something like that. We're in this car, and she goes, right, stop the car. I want to go. The driver, she said to me, who is it? I said, it's an ex-girlfriend. She goes, what? You've been seeing this ex-girlfriend? And then I said, no, I'm bringing this ex-girlfriend into it for no reason. And then I said, no, it's this girl called Yelda. And she's been stalking me. And she's been sending all these texts, and I've been trying to stop it and this and that. But she's not right. I didn't know that she's not right, but she's not right. I subsequently found out she got a history with loads of other male celebrities but I'm going to go to the police. I said, because those celebrities, they're like rappers and this and that, and they don't want any involvement with the police. But I'm honest playing cis, and I'm going to go to the police. And I told you, I said, I'm going to go to the police because I've not done a crime in my life. I've never been in a police station up until recently. I like literally. I'm just not. I just never happened to have been that way. I didn't never gone that way. Sensible guy. Everyone who knows me. I'm almost at a point where I could be boring. You know, I just never got involved in anything that I shouldn't have done. You know, never really did. I knew people that did it, but I wanted to be a musician from when I was very, very young. I got into the music industry. All I wanted to do was be on stage and sing. That was it. That was me. And anything that was crimey and this and that, I stayed away from. So I said, I'm a normal citizen. I can go to the police, you know, although a fat lot of good that really did, but nevertheless.
Is it still an ongoing investigation?
It's still ongoing, but I've got no faith in it.
And is she still stalking you?
Not that I know of. Every now and then I get like a horrible message, but that could be anyone because she never uses her real account.
And did she stop once the police had got involved?
Yes. Well, she stopped when they arrested her.
What was she arrested for? And what evidence did they have?
Malicious communication. I gave them my phone. And they had all the messages and stuff like that. But in order for them to do that, so basically I went to Essex Police. It took months for it to get to, meanwhile, she's still ringing and doing stuff. It took months for it to get to the Met Police. In the meanwhile, she's stalking me. I'm doing a play called Tony and Tina's Wedding in Stratford. She starts stalking all the staff and calling them all names and having arguments and stuff like that. And then she cornered a friend of mine and made disparaging remarks about her baby. I mean, this girl's evil, really evil. So this girl phones her and lets her have it. Then she runs to the police and says, "Oh, this girl is threatening me. She's threatening me." So then this girl gets called into the police station. This girl, like a friend of mine, but I've only met her in real life 3 times. Right? She gets called into the police station. I get called into a police station. So I sit down with this PC and I have to go and pay for a lawyer. They said, go in with a lawyer because you don't know what they're planning to do. The police saying they want to see you. You don't know what this girl's capable of, what they're going to do. So I have to book a solicitor. I go in, the day before we go in, we're having a conversation about what will be said when I go in the police station, the evidence and stuff like that. This girl is ringing me 100 times in front of the solicitor. So the solicitor's there, right? Then we go in the next day and the policewoman says, well, you know, you've been calling her out online because I was saying there's a girl called Yoda that's stalking me and I was playing the hundreds of calls on my phone, put down the phone, wait 20 seconds later, the phone rings again. There's actually a clip on TikTok now. If you put in a girl called Yoda, stalker, it comes up.
If she sees this interview, will she come gunning for you again, do you think?
I couldn't care less.
She will obviously watch this because she's got a fascination with you, to say the least. Are you hoping that by her watching this, it will be the final nail in the coffin for her to just leave you alone for good?
I've come here to speak to you, Liam, because I'm going to get married this year and I'm very, very happy. And I want to leave all of this baggage there. I don't want to carry this into my new life. I want to leave it. This is a safe space for me. You're an honest guy. You've given me a platform to be able to talk. So much damage has been done. There's nothing I could do. I couldn't get any worse than what a lot of people think of me. Maybe it's me just overthinking it. I don't know. And some people say, just be quiet. Don't say anything. Well, it's cost me a lot. It's cost my actual career a lot. The way that people view me behind the scenes. You know, a lot of stuff with Vanessa has left such a bad taste in people's mouths. I don't know I know half these people. I don't know what I've done to them personally, but I really can feel an undertone of people disliking me because I made one mistake of cheating 5-6 years ago. And then there was a sex text scene, but the way that it's kind of been done behind the scenes, spoken, I've had stories, I've had the right to reply in papers. Oh, we can't go in that. You can't do that because Vanessa, or you can't do this, or all of that sort of stuff. It happens.
Like you've been painted to be a child murderer.
Yeah, it's like I've never seen anything like it.
How was the whole thing? Because it's important, the actual effects that it's had on your life and your state of mind, your mental health. So between the separation of you and Vanessa and a female stalking you incessantly, because you've mentioned therapy, so how has it affected your state of mind? Or how did it? Because you're now happy now.
Yeah.
We'll move on to that in a second, and then we're going to cap it there, because otherwise I think, because you lived a massive life before this took place. But I think if we then go and cover all of that, I think this will lose its purpose. And I think it's important that you're getting this message out. Am I right?
Yes.
Yeah, I think it would be better if we done a second interview down the line and spoke about your career up until this madness took place. But how did it affect your mental health?
Really badly. The fallout was horrendous because I was trying to reconcile. So there was a 3-week period between the fact when everyone knew, and I was in a hotel again. So I'd spent most of that time in a hotel, another hotel somewhere. And a journalist started following me. I thought, hey, here we go.
Given the nod by somebody?
Yeah. And the journalist started following me. And I always know when a journalist follows you, unless you know the journalist, when they follow you, it means they want to DM you. We've heard that yourself and Vanessa have split up. I'm like, what? No, because we're in this period where we're kind of talking about what can happen. So the line is, everyone stays quiet. No one says anything. Next day, they run with the story. Then Vanessa gets on her Instagram. I'm sitting in my house watching Instagram. You bastard. You see you next Tuesday. You this. That. Barrages on my social media. Barrages. What's going on? What's going on? Vanessa's blocked me from Instagram. So I don't even know what's going on. So I'm reading the paper. I think it's just coming from the paper. But she went the next day. So they didn't go, yes, they know the story and we're no longer together. She went straight to Instagram and felt that she needed to inform the nation before me. So that's fine because she's a journalist. That's what she feels that journalists do. They inform the nation and then you inform your actual person who's in this situation last. Then she goes on this morning and talks to Holly and Phil and says, oh, this, that. So this is me. Now I'm punch drunk. I'm like a boxer looking for his gum shield, have you ever, when they're fighting, I don't know where I am. I don't know what's going on. I don't know. I'm getting barrages of abuse. I've never had this kind of abuse before. Everyone knows this and that. The papers are writing stories. Now the papers start going bang, bang, bang. This story, that story.
It's the problem with being in a celebrity relationship, isn't it?
Yeah, but you're still human, and it's we're still people. People are still people. It's still a normal relationship. We had, So she does it. Then my management, who is actually her management, but was my management, phones me and goes, the best thing to do is to tell the truth. Hugh Grant did it. You just tell the truth. So I do a deal with the paper. That's the only story that I've ever, all the stories that people say that sold, the only one I got paid for was that particular story. And that was literally because I was so comfortable in where I was that all my money was tied up elsewhere. You forced me to live in this house, this and that. And now I'm in hotels every single day and I've not got a place to live. So that's why I was paid for that story. It's the only story I've ever been paid for. People think that he's still selling stories for money. Yeah, you wish. I wish.
And just so I've got the timeline right, you sold your story after Vanessa appeared on This Morning.
Yeah, and all it was to do was to apologise and to say I was sorry and I was guilty and that's why the relationship. I mean, I don't even know why I did it, but...
You're kind of within your rights to do that if she's done it already. If it's been made public and you wanted it kept quiet, you've got to have a right to respond.
Yeah. And then she's got the gall to phone my sister. We're a tight family. to phone my sister and say, I can't believe Ben sold a story. My sister just told her where to go.
So there's no love lost between you and Vanessa?
No, not at all. She clearly never loved me really and doesn't like me. And I have every right to be the same. It doesn't really now, 2 years on, I've moved on. She doesn't cross my mind. The stuff that I talk about in the press, if it's to do with her, is answering something that she said about me. The way she used to shout at me, the way she used to speak about me and speak to me. She'll say in public, I don't even think he can read. So you imagine, and that's on record, Google that, everyone. You imagine what she would be like behind closed doors if you can just say that in public, flippantly.
Well, she's quite fierce on camera, isn't she?
That's that. So is there any love lost? No, there's none. None at all. I'm glad I'm out of there.
And the therapy helped?
The therapy helps a lot. The therapy helps me to understand why the first I did
what you done.
What I did. I needed to know that. But otherwise I would have just stayed blaming myself.
And also you don't want to, if you move into a happy relationship where there's mutual respect, you don't ever want to be jeopardising that again. So you do need to make sense of it.
Yeah, totally. And that's what it did. It made me make sense of why I behaved in such a stupid way. And it was just the fact that I was marginalised and emasculated and openly the butt of jokes and...
What if Vanessa's watching this now?
Yeah.
Well, there's 3 more questions.
Okay.
If Vanessa's watching this now, what would you say to her? If Yelda's watching this now, what would you say to her? And then I want to know what the future holds for you. Something to end positive on.
If Vanessa's watching this now, I just say I wish you the best, and hopefully one day you'll find someone who wants to be with you. And that's it. I've got nothing else to say to her or about her or anything. I don't wish her any badness or whatever. I feel like she's done a lot of damage, things that the public see and things that the public can't see. I do believe that, and I think people in the industry, they know what I'm talking about, but they'll just kind of leave it there. But I wish her the best, and I hope she finds love, because I think that's what her true journey is. She wants to find someone that maybe one day she can get married, or someone that she can be with. Her talent there's no question about it. She's very talented. But that's it, and that's it. And I do this to say, I'm putting it all to bed. It's gone. It's done. It was 2 years ago. I don't really care to speak about her or anything. I wish her all the best. The stalker, I think that you knew what you were doing, and you didn't need to do it. And life has a funny way of coming back at you. And when things are going wrong in your life, you have to really look at your behaviour and what you're doing. And you have a mum and dad who I think are, when you help someone do something, enabling you to do and turning a blind eye to your tactics. And because I tried to send a letter to your mum and dad to say this is what's going on, and they seem to ignore it, but I know they got it. So you have that kind of thing going on, and I wish you well. I hope that you find what you're looking for, but ultimately you reap what you sow.
And have you got any regrets of anything you've done?
Yeah, all of it.
Just to balance it out.
Yeah, all of it, man. The stuff in Ibiza. That's a massive, massive regret. If I could turn back the hands of time, I wouldn't have even taken the phone call to do the gig.
Yeah.
If it was such a terrible, terrible mistake. I'd have rather have stayed emasculated and then had Vanessa go, this isn't working out, goodbye. and been hard done by than having to do something to lead to those kind of actions. I would have rather that, much rather. I'm always trying to, I don't want to hurt anyone. I'm always trying to be the best person I can be.
I know a lot of people that know you personally, and not one person has said a bad word about you. And I can only take people as I find them, and I can only receive the information that I hear. And I wouldn't say that for the sake of saying it. All of the people that we know mutually, every single one of them has said, what a lovely guy you are. So I would never believe what I read in the paper about you, because I've actually heard it from people that know you, and they've said that you're a nice guy. And everybody makes mistakes. No one's perfect. You regret doing what you've done. By God, I regret some of the things that I've done. I'm far from perfect, and I'm very flattered that you felt comfortable enough to share your story with me. And I'll just extend my words until I ask you the final question, because in my mind, today's interview was going to go very, very differently, because you've also lived a very interesting life. And I won't rattle off the points I wanted to go through. But, you know, you've toured with Take That. You've performed in front of, you've sold millions of records. You was one of the biggest voices on the club scene. There's so much you've done. Your upbringing that I've got a lot of respect for, the family unit, things that we've discussed in the green room. But I think it would detract from this story that's important to you to wipe the slate clean and get it off your chest. And I think it's best to consolidate that story and keep it there. End of the chapter with Vanessa, end of the chapter with the stalker. We can come back and do another part. I'm more than happy to do that. But that's my 2 pence worth anyway. I know people that know you, and I've not heard a bad word in person, and I've got no reason to say that. Let's end it on something nice and fluffy. So what are you doing with your life now? Because I know you've just come back from holiday with your new love.
Yeah.
So what is the future? You've always wanted a family unit. You've always wanted love. You always wanted to be respected. And I'm sure if you get respect, you'll give it back, and there'll be no more IB for shenanigans moving forward.
Yeah, definitely not. No, I've met this wonderful, wonderful lady. I was doing a gig down in Carlisle, and it always seems to be a gig that these things happen at, but basically it's my place of work, isn't it? So I met this wonderful lady. She was organising this gig down in Carlisle, and we got talking, and we just got talking. And then when she said that, I said, I'll take her out when she comes down to London, and and so you know, we kind of went out for drinks and stuff like that. I found out her name was Vanessa, which is just, we joke about the Vanessa 2.0 stuff, you know. I literally said at early doors to her, you know, quite early doors, that, we got to kind of be friends, and she knew I was a man on a mission for a family and children and that kind of thing. I wasn't ever going to be in another relationship where I was just going to see how it goes.
Yeah.
You know, let's just do it. Let's just see how it goes. I think the 17 years with the last one is enough for me. I just want to get on with my life. I just want to live my life, sing songs. You know, I've got political aspirations as well. But, you know, I just want to sing songs, perform, have a couple of children, and be with someone that loves and respects me. And that's always very simple. I don't want 1,000 girls. I don't need 1,000. I've never needed that. I've never been that guy. You know, this kind of love rat, cheaty thing that everyone thinks that I am, which is weird because people actually think that. They believe that in me. I'm just so far from it. And all the people that know me, the girls that know me, the guys that know me, they know I'm nothing like it, but it's great that they don't believe that. But, you know, when people are talking to me online, you can hear that they're thinking that. So I just want to get married. I'm getting married in the summer in a beautiful castle. It's going to be hopefully a fairy tale wedding. I'm so happy. Like I've you know, it's kind of gone. And like I said, it's amazing to be here because I just didn't leave that stuff that I'm not proud of and stuff that happened and pain. And there's a lot of pain in that. And, you know, my brother's death played a part in that sort of mindset with my mental health at the time because, you know, it was death and then there was this and then there was the Vanessa thing and the media thing and it was just so much. And it just feels like here is like a breath of fresh air. It's like a counselling session that I kind of just told you everything and left it all there. And I came here ready to talk whatever you wanted me to say, I would say. I didn't know what I was going to say.
Well, I just rolled with where you was going with it because I could see it in your eye a few times that this was necessary. So rather than me try and get all the bullet points I want to cover, to make good viewing for the audience, I could see in your eye that it was important. So it's like, we'll roll with that because I'm not going anywhere. My studio's going to be here for years to come, and we can come back and we can talk about your political aspirations and all the greatness that you've done, which let's not forget that you have done that.
Thank you.
And just, how do you and your new partner treat each other? What's the difference there? What's the key? Because nowadays we live in a throwaway society where, all right, next, everyone can just be replaced so easily. So the fact that you've got with something, you're a public figure, decent-looking bloke. It's not like you're going to struggle. So to find someone that you want to stick with.
We're as thick as thieves, and we've intertwined our lives so much so that we barely go anywhere without each other. And I know that might sound really wet and horrible and whatever, but for where I am in my life, I've always just wanted that. It's a bit of a, it's that kind of thing. She can work on the go. She's a businesswoman, and she has a clinic up in Carlisle, an aesthetics clinic up in Carlisle. But she also works for a brand, and she travels around the world a lot. So we try to be together as much as we can. She makes me laugh.
And how would she feel, do you think, watching, these 2 hours back talking about the stalker and your previous partner?
I mean, she knows most of it. She knows all of it, really. I mean, there might have been little things that I might have forgot during things.
Do you think she'll appreciate the importance of you just... Because are you going to box this off now? Is this the last you'll speak about it?
Yeah, very much so. Like I said, I didn't come here just to speak about that, but it just went that way.
I know.
It just went that, because I haven't really spoken about it. I haven't been given any... At the time, every TV was blocked off from me, mostly. And yeah, I just haven't really spoken about it. And everyone says, oh, be silent, be dignified silence, this dignified silence. And I don't like that kind of thing, because that's not me. I don't like people to think, oh, I don't like him, he's really nasty. Because I'm just not. I never have been. I don't think I am anyway. I've never been turned out. I actually go out my way to speak to everyone because I like people. The only problem I've had is people being a bit of a people pleaser. But I like, and that's a problem in itself. But I like people genuinely, and I don't want people to think I'm a bad person. If I've done bad things all the time. I mean, yes, I'm just a human being. I made a mistake, but that doesn't warrant what I think has happened to me behind the scenes.
But the future's looking bright.
The future is bright. The future is orange. It's green. It's full of
love.
Yeah, it's full of love. It's full of marriage. It's full of babies.
Good man.
Yeah.
Because you've always wanted that, haven't you?
Yes. I want, a little boy, a little girl. I would, oh my gosh, that's me. So
I'm going to thank Yelda for ruining your first relationship, because now you're going to get what you've always wanted.
Thank you.
in a twisted way. Yes. And also, hopefully Vanessa finds happiness herself.
Yes, I hope
we all deserve to be happy.
Yeah, I think that's all she kind of wants. So, I think to be happy is what she wanted. She wanted that 34 years ago. I wanted to be happy as well, but I did want a family, or I wanted something concrete. I wanted to finally say, this is my wife, not my wifey.
Yeah.
I want to say, this is my wife, I'm a married man, and I love the sanctity of marriage. She didn't want that, unfortunately. But, I hope that she's, whoever, there's so many people who don't want to be married, or there's so many people, so I hope she finds whatever she's looking at. I don't know what it is, but I hope she finds it and she's happy.
The good news is I'm well prepped for when we sit here again, because we didn't cover all the stuff that I wanted to.
Yeah.
But until the next time, I wish you all the luck in the world, and everybody else. Like I say, we're not perfect. We all deserve peace and happiness. And thank you for sharing your story and trusting me.
Oh, of course.
Appreciate that.
Of course.
Good luck, brother. Thank you,
bless.
mate.